Hi guys, welcome to Side Up. This is the first episode of our brand new podcast covering all things UK beach volleyball. Um, on this episode, we're going to open that's coming up what this podcast will normally be about, and we'll do a little Q&A at the end as well. We have a exclusive interview with the tournament organizer Sam Dunbavin in the tournament next weekend, and we're really excited to cover all that later. So stick around. Welcome. I'm George. This is Ian. We're your hosts. Ian, you want to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Ian. I've been playing beach volleyball for about 5 years. I'm originally from Hong Kong, but I came over to the UK to, do my university. Now I'm living in London, training and playing beach volleyball as much as I can. George, how about yourself?
So I'm George Roddick. I am currently at university at Nottingham. I'm a first year. I've played volleyball for coming up to 5 years now. Just started off before lockdown, and I have always played for Richmond Volleyball in London. They're my only club until I have now come to uni. Spent this year playing as the second lib for Super League, but now out on the sand out of the element and finally enjoying things to the full extent that I can. So to get on to like what we're going to be normally covering in this podcast, we are going to be looking at all things UK beach volleyball. For our indoor viewers or for people who are new to beach volleyball in general, that looks at the UKBT, which is the standard tournament organizers across the country, which gives us points, rankings, and hosts all the events. But we'll also be looking at our international teams. So we have a few English teams, the Bello brothers, Issa and Freddie, or Bialakos Petrain, sorry, and a few other teams, including me and Ian, trying to get out there.
Hopefully.
Ian, do you want to share what else we'll be covering?
Yeah, so we're gonna be covering today just like an intro to just as a like nice friendly start to our show. We're going to talk about the new season. We're going to talk about the Cardiff Open. We're going to talk about all the juicy goss about who's partnering up with who this season, all the breakups and all the new partnerships that are forming. And then we'll open it up to some fan questions that we've collected last week. We'll do some Q&A, and then, wrap it up from there and hopefully stick around for next week. And then that's where we'll keep talking about the sport that we all love.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, our first event that we are going to be talking about this week is the first Open of the year. So there are four Opens. We've got the Southern, Northern, um, Eastern, Western. They break it down. We've got one in Croyd, we've got one in Wales, we've got one in Edinburgh, and we've got the London Open as well, I believe, unless I'm
Yeah, and
wrong.
I think also Edinburgh and there's one more that's slipping my mind. Club Champs
Bridlington?
is
Oh,
yeah,
Club Champs, yeah.
Bridlington and Club Champs. So those were the 4 stars. Oh, so for those who don't know, the UKBT runs on a star-based system where you have one, two, three, four, and 5 stars. Uh, and obviously 5 stars is at the highest level, where you'll get the most amount of points. And then there's only two of those every season. And then the 4 stars, there's one per region. So the ones we've just mentioned. 3 stars are kind of just your local tourneys, first come, first serve. 4 stars and 5 stars, you have to have enough points to qualify for. 2 stars again are more local, and then maybe a bit more entry level for people just getting into it. And I think 1 stars is exclusively for mixed tournaments. There might be some single gender 1 stars, but I think generally when you talk about 1 stars, we're talking about mixed tournaments.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
there's a few one star like beginner tournaments that I can think of, or like junior
Mhm.
tournaments as well. They give
Yeah.
similar amount of points.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and looking at our first one up, we've got Cardiff. So that's
Hmm.
hosted by Fireball. It's a great event. I've been I didn't go last year, but I went the year before. I think it was my first. No, it would have been my second 4 star. Playing
Hmm.
with my junior partner back then, Stuart Perry. Of which is where I remember first seeing you guys play as well, you and Derek.
Yeah, me and Derek, and we'll get in. We'll probably get into this later, but unfortunately, we've split up a little bit. But anyway, that's for later. That's for later. Um, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season? Like, what are your expectations compared to last year? How's the calendar looking? We've got 4 4 stars in a row in the month of June, which I think is It's gonna be a tough month, but it's gonna be a fun month.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's going to be a real tasty year for us,
Yeah.
like as players,
Mhm.
especially as watchers as well. As the international scene is also developing now in the UK. For those who don't know, we're hosting a senior NEVSA event, which is a North European Volleyball Zonal Association tournament. So we'll be having senior teams come over. Last year we had a junior event, which I actually competed in as well. We had I think it was under 20s and under 22s. No, sorry, we were under 18s and under 20s. That's right. Um, so hopefully we'll get a few more teams there with this year, which would be phenomenal.
Uh,
But I think very much like with a Olympic cycle year, like we've just seen last year on the Beach Pro Tour, all the teams that really want to get there will be riling up and getting into those local tournaments, going for the regionals, going for finals, and really trying to bolster their points. So I
yeah.
think it's going to be a real meaty year and see who's coming out guns blazing um, for this season. Well, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to kind of my first year pure defending. I'm really excited to, really focus on defending and getting to learn like all the intricacies. Because obviously when you're split blocking, you just serve and then you're kind of like, okay, here I go. Let's try to dig a ball. But when you have the luxury, I'm gonna call it a luxury because I don't think people appreciate blockers enough. But when you have the luxury of just focusing on one thing, then I think it's a little bit of a different story, and you can really kind of try to perfect your craft as much as possible. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Again, just like playing all these tournaments. We might miss a couple because there's some indoor stuff going on as well. But again, we're gonna try to play as many as we can.
Nice. Yeah, no, that sounds great. I mean, yeah, like there are so many tournaments as well.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, especially
yeah, I agree.
especially June because
Um,
that back to back 4 weekends of just pure tournaments.
I think also the good thing about June is like as it leads on, we get into that international section as well, where we've got I think senior and Nevsa in Burlington, but preceding that we have one in Norway, Odenesand,
Hmm.
which I'm also applying to. I think after we've got obviously our junior Nevsa event as well towards the end of June,
Yeah.
which then feeds into Bridlington for the senior Nevsa. Um, and yeah, it's going to be such an exciting year
Hmm.
with all these new events and seeing
Hmm.
how the things develop. I mean, like the King of the Court event last year, the showcase they did in London. I sadly didn't get to go, but it
Hmm.
looked like great fun. I really hope we can get something like that this year again, maybe even on a bigger
Yeah.
scale.
And ultimately that's what all of us are trying to do, right? Like that's the whole point of this podcast. That's why we play. We're trying to grow the sport in our country, try to bring up the level so that we can, in the future see more and more events like this happening, make it more of a spectacle, more of a showcase event, and, you know, encourage the England program to kind of rise up and bring it to the next level.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like definitely. And that leads into a bit of what Sam Dunbavin was talking about in our interview
Yeah.
uh,
So
later on. So I think now we'll lead into our guest for today, bringing on Sam Dunbavin, founder and leader of Fireball Beach Volleyball and other beach sports, as far as I'm aware.
Mhm.
But yeah, enjoy.
Okay. Hello, Sam Dunbavin. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to
Excellent.
be part of this new project.
So, Sam, a little bit about Sam here. He's the founder of Fireball Beach Sports, founded in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. They have locations and tournaments all across the country in the Southeast, Southwest, Northeast. Sam himself is an international beach volleyball player, playing with many big names in the past. He's an experienced coach as well, with 10 plus years of coaching. Also has coached some big names from the country and kind of runs international camps. He's a beast on and off the court. He's got a first class degree from Cambridge, where he was also the first person to achieve a full blue, as I understand. Tell us a bit more about yourself. What's your story? Who you are? Where volleyball has taken you, and kind of how you got where you are now.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about all of those things really as adding up, but I guess over the last 10 years or so playing, then it does kind of add up. Yeah, I think the main my story really is I grew up in North Devon, where I live now, where I've moved back to, and I had an amazing coach, Denise, from when I was about 11, 12, and yeah, I was always quite sporty, played lots of different things, wasn't that good at any of them. Like I played a bit of rugby, bit of cricket, like kind of county level, but not that good. Um, yeah, and then a bit of tennis when I was younger, and then I found volleyball and I just loved it. I just loved that. I don't know. I loved, especially beach volleyball, the kind of the 2v2 aspect of it, and the fact that you could be kind of tactical and kind of run the game, but it's also a pairs game, like that you're also a team. I think that's the element of beach volleyball, especially that I love. And so then, kind of went through playing both indoor and beach, and then up until I went to Cambridge University. Then played while I was there, got the first ever volleyball blue. Made my international debut there, and then for England in a Nevsa in, I think my first one was in Bournemouth actually. And then yeah, progressed from there really, and just been playing ever since. And yeah, I think the thing I love about beach volleyball is that you can really forge your own path. It's been really nice that I've been able to kind of play with loads of different people, go to lots of different places. After university, I was like, right, I don't want to get a serious job. All the other people at uni were kind of getting serious jobs. I was like, you know what, I just want to play beach volleyball. So I kind of did some coaching in London, and then I took off for Australia for a winter and played on the tour over there and just loved it. I just loved being able to go and play and like meet different people and train every day. And was just like trying to earn a bit of money at the same time just to keep
Mm.
myself going. Uh, so for years and years, I was just like 4 or 5 years, I was just like doing a bit of coaching, doing a bit of this, bit of that, so that I
Mm.
could keep myself playing, and that's really where Fireball came out of. So that's 2020. Before that, I'd been doing some coaching, running a few little tournaments, and then I thought actually this could be quite a nice little business. Found a venue in London that I wanted to take over, that was built in 2012 and that I thought had loads of potential. So I took that over, made the business, and then since then I've been, coaching, playing. These days, a little bit more coaching. So where I want to get to is I want to be like a performance coach. I want to coach national teams, maybe on the world tour. I'd love to, be coaching full time with a junior program, stuff like that. So that's my ambition at the moment. Is where I'm trying to get to, is really try and work on my performance coaching, and that's where my ambition is in terms of where I want to go. But at the same time, I'm still loving playing, so I'm still
Mm.
competing in the Cardiff Open,
Yep.
and at some of the UKBTs this year. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sam. Obviously, we've got Cardiff coming up next weekend. And as I said, you're competing and you're also running it. What makes Cardiff unique compared to other tournaments?
Yeah, you know what? I love this event. I really love it, and I think the reason I love it is because we've deliberately put it like quite early in the season, so it's really exciting. We get to have the first look at like some new partnerships every year. We get to see who's got better over the winter, who's been training, who's maybe had a few too many mince pies at Christmas. Um, so look at that. And then part of the venue there, Cardiff Beach Volleyball have been amazing to us over the last few years. They've been a real great hub for our events, and they do an amazing job. So Carl, who helps run the centre, he does an amazing job of making everyone feel really welcome and putting on an amazing piece there. Like this year, we're really excited. We're hoping to have live streaming on all six courts for the Saturday, and then like a full multi camera view of the centre court on Sunday. So that's really exciting. That's new for this year, um, and it's just like a great location. It's a very sort of peaceful corner of Cardiff, which means that we can really. It's like a real players event. We don't get massive crowds because of its location. We do get some people coming out of the park, but what that means is that we are really focusing on making that event amazing for the players, like really, really good. So, we're going to have barbecue. We try and get all the little details, like make sure we put on some really good playing opportunities for the Sunday for people that are knocked out that want to stick around. We've got, like a DJ, we've got and commentary and an announcer. So we've got AJ coming in fresh off the Australian tour, so he's going to be there announcing. And we're just trying to make an event and that the players feel they're really valued at, and that they feel that they want to turn up to. And I think that's been the core thing for us, like over the last few years when we've been building this event up, is can we make an event that the players feel like they're really treasured and special at? So and that goes even down to the trophy. We've put some time. I put loads of time trying to find like a really iconic trophy a few years ago, and we found an amazing Welsh company that like laser cut metal dragon trophies, and in the Welsh red. So I think they're really cool. Everyone that's got one says it's one of their favourite trophies. And the winning teams get their name on the trophy that stays in the clubhouse, so they
Oh
get
yeah, the big
immortalised in
one,
there.
right?
So
Yeah.
yeah,
The
I
big
mean it's
one.
awesome. Like I just like that's definitely a goal. That's definitely motivating me this year, because I've been in the last two finals, lost to JJ and Cole both times. And my nemesis are not here this year, so maybe this time might be the
Yep.
year where I can do one better and go and get my name on there,
Yeah.
because that's really motivating me this year. So
Hmm. Yeah, Sam, I saw that this year there's a Sunday King of the Court event as well for players who get eliminated on the first day. I think that's a really, really good idea. Can you sort of explain to us and to the viewers why you've brought that in?
yeah, so when I was growing up, the landscape was a bit different. It was before the UKBT had come in, so it was the VBT, Volleyball England Beach Tour for anyone uninitiated, and it would have been before your guys' time. And the reason, so the events were really cool, mainly because there weren't that many of them. There were maybe like 4 or 5 tournaments in a year, and that was it. That if you played serious volleyball, that was all you could do in the year. They were the only good tournaments, and that meant that everyone that went to those tournaments would just book the Saturday night, and they would stay there for the whole weekend, and they'd like hang out. Players would like. There's a players' party on a Saturday, which we're doing this year, and it became a real social thing as well to see like all of the other top players. And I think that's something that we're trying really hard with our 4 stars, with our opens, to replicate, is that we want people to feel like there's a reason for them to stay on the Sunday. And we would love to have a big crowd watching some amazing volleyball in the finals. Like we want people to stick around until 4 p.m. and then go home, because that's the final will be at 3. Um, and we recognise that actually £70 per team is quite a lot, and we want to provide some value for that. So at the Cardiff Open and at the Croyd Open this year as well, looking ahead to that one, we've organised a tournament on Sunday. So the Cardiff one next weekend, we've organised a King of the Court. So that'll be running after the quarterfinals are finished on the Sunday. So it'll be from about 11 till 2. We'll have 3 hours of just like real fast King of the Court action. It'll be super fun, pretty casual. If one player can't play, we'll chuck you in with someone else. We just love people to stick around, and then from 2, we're gonna have the 2 finals going on. So we would really, really like people to like take advantage of that. Come and watch the finals, play in the King of the Court, and then come and chill, scream on for your favorite team. And we're doing the same in Croyd. We've organised a 3-star on the Sunday, so that people that do get knocked out on the Saturday, you've still got great volleyball on the Sunday. That will finish again about 3, so it'll be quite a quick draw. And then you get to go and watch the finals, and we really, really want like this idea that people do stick around for the big games and they get to watch it, because we want to put those players that make the finals. We want to put on a show for them, and we want to reward them with a really good crowd. So yeah.
I remember back when I wasn't living in London and I was kind of coming into London for tournaments, I'd decide like back when I wasn't that good and was probably going to get knocked out the first day. I was like, do I book a hotel or, but now it's really cool that there's something on the second day that you can stay for. So obviously it's really difficult to kind of put all this together. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about kind of what goes on behind the scenes, like people who you have to talk to, like caterers, or you said there's a barbecue. Like, how does that all come together in the big picture?
Yeah, I think so. We are now in our third year of running the Cardiff Open at Cardiff. We ran the Welsh Grand Slam down at Barry Island the 2 years
Mm,
before. So I think my attitude with these events has been that, and I learned this from Marco Bonario, who's a Swiss guy who I go out and coach with in Mallorca in Switzerland. He always says to me, every year you have to. It's like a video game with any event. You have to save your level, and then you have to do a bit of work to go to the next level. So with every event we do, whether that's the Southwest Series, our London Series, which are kind of our more grassroots tournaments, or the Cardiff Open, Croyd Open. This year we've got the Junior National Champs for the first time, which we're really excited about. We have a meeting at the end of the year or after the event, and we say, right, what went really well? We've got to make sure we do that again next year. So we put down the non-negotiables, the things that we think we did really well. And then we identify one or two things that we're going to change for the following year to make it better. And that's informed with us going and talking to as many players as we can. So, like, if when you're there next weekend, you'll see me, you'll see Danny, you'll see Inez, like Chelsea, who's coming on for the media. So the employees of Fireball, we'll try and get around and we'll chat to people and ask for their feedback. And we really like try and think about how can we make this event better for next year? And then if we can, we make that happen. So, we've been looking at like what's the best way and how do we get people involved with stuff on Saturday evening, because we finished playing at like 7 p.m. and we tried doing going to the pub, but actually people want to go and kind of get changed and have a shower and stuff like that. So it just wasn't really working. So that's where we want to put the barbecue on, really. So we're going to do the barbecue. So when people finish playing, they can have a burger, they can have sausage, whatever it is, on the Saturday evening. After they finish playing, chill out, watch the last games, grab some beers from the centre, which is great because supporting the centre as well. And then people will head home afterwards for a shower when we're done. So that's something that we're kind of evolving and changing. The same sort of thing with the tournament on the Sunday. Like we tried it last year with running a mixed tournament, and then we took some feedback. We think actually it'd be nice if you're coming down in pairs, it'd be nice if you can play in the pairs on the Sunday. So we're making that. So each time, just trying to go up a little level. And the same with the live stream. Like we had a good live stream last year. Hopefully now we've got all 6 courts on a Saturday, so everyone can share their games, which is really awesome. So it's just like these little iterations where we go up to the next level each time. So yeah, I mean, if anyone is listening to this who is a player and after the tournament, during the tournament, if you've got any suggestions, we really live by the motto for Fireball, like all feedback is good feedback. We really genuinely listen to everything. There might be a good reason why we can't do certain things, but if we can, we normally listen to it. We'll think about it, we'll write it down, and we'll let you know whether we can or we can't do it. So we always are really, really open to stuff. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for talking about that. In terms of like that leveling, where do you see it going in the future? Like, do you have any expansion ideas or what are your plans?
Yeah, so where we want to get to long term is my idea for the Cardiff Open, the Croyd Open, is we're creating now an event with a great profile, with a really, really strong product. That is the playing side because we're getting full draws every time. And that means that in a product that is really marketable to sponsors. So what we'd love to do is we would love to then be able to approach some Welsh companies, some North Devon companies, some national companies to be able to get them to get them interested in our events. And if we can do that, then that means that we can set up, we can increase the prize money quite a lot. So if we can increase the prize money quite a lot, then we can invite some foreign teams in. We could look at creating two, three, four spaces for foreign teams that are going to really push the draw and be really exciting. And that for me is like where we want to go is that we create an event that they come into, like some really good standard foreign teams, they come into and they're like, wow, that's a really well run event. That's really cool. The standard's great. It's full up of 24 teams that can all play. And that then feeds back into our, national team setup where we've got, tons of juniors now coming and playing at Cardiff weekend, and if they get to play against, a 6'7" German blocker or something like that in the future, that is an amazing experience for them. So that's where we want to get to, and we're really building that, and we think we're on a good route because we're focusing on creating playing experience for everyone first. Because I think unless the volleyball's really good, we're not going to have the best players coming. So we're starting, I'm really confident that now both of these events, both of our Opens, Cardiff and Croyd, are really good players events. And then we're going to try and build up so that we can add some more incentives to come. Maybe we can wrap in some accommodation with the deal. Maybe we can wrap in, that we've got 4 scholarship or like wildcard teams that we invite to come and play to increase the strength of the draw, because I think that just makes it more exciting for everyone. Yeah.
So what's your plan for this
that
year?
sounds great. Go on.
So last year you've played with John, yeah, as a defender, and now you're going back to playing with Johnny Morgan as a blocker. So what's your plans for this season? You did mention that you're gonna do some UKBT and then maybe some international stuff. Where are you taking your playing career this season?
Yeah. Last year we had so confusingly for everyone. So 2 seasons ago, I played with Jonathan Drysdale Anderson. So he's a great young blocker. And then I moved back to Devon, so I hooked up with Johnny Morgan down here. We had a great season last year. We won the club champs, we won the Edinburgh Open, lots of other medals, so that was great. The goal is this year we're going to play with 4 stars. We'll be back at club champs again. We're going to try and do Weymouth, and we'll try and do the finals. So we're looking at Johnny and I will be playing this year. So I'm back in blocking again for the second season, and I'm really excited by that. We get to train lots down here. We're going to be playing the Nevsa in Bridlington, which we're really excited about. It's great that we've got a Nevsa on home sand. So that's really, really exciting. And then towards the end of the season, towards August time, we're looking to peak. Well, firstly for the UKBT finals, but also there's a cluster of future events at that time. So Johnny and I are looking to target those. So yeah, that's the plan for this year.
Wicked. And just speaking a bit more about club champs, how was it? Because obviously you guys won, and then you got to go through to Montpellier, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speak a bit more about that. How was that as an event?
Yeah, it was awesome actually. So, I mean, firstly, super, super proud of our whole fireball community and how we pulled together at the club champs. It was one of those moments where I kind of have goosebumps thinking about it, thinking back to it. Just like, like when I play, I tend to get in the zone and not really notice things that are happening. It just like flows. And I was so tired in the final because we played so many games. And then, such a close final, went to extra time, ended up winning it. And, it's one of my favorite videos of just like looking back of like lots of people rushing the court after the golden set, and just all of us celebrating together in the moment. And that is so awesome. And I just love that about our fireball community, and it's something I'm really proud of that we're really, really investing in. And we sort of took that community idea and we took that to the international competition, really. Like John and I went, and then we took Harry and Harry, 2 juniors from around here, who earn the right because they played on our team, so they did really great. And we took Danny Mulford and Ethan. So really, we took one blocker in me, and I'm even undersized at that level, and we took 5 defenders. So we were always really on the back foot, especially as the format there is a little bit different. You can take 6 players, and if you get to a golden set, you have to mix between your first pair and someone from the second pair or your reserves. You can't have both players from the top pair play. So we went for the experience, and the guys we got to play against the French team first up from Montpellier, and they had 3 World Tour players in their 4. And it was a great experience. Like, it was really cool to go and play against 6'7" blocker. It's a bit of an eye opener for, I think, for some of the guys, but it was great. Like, it's that sort of experience you don't get here, and it's been really motivational for us. Like, I am looking at club champs now, and we want to win it in the men's and the women's this year. That's our goal. We're putting that one down there. We're going to enter 2 squads this year, so we've got Fireball Southwest and we've got Fireball London, and that's it. And we're going to be putting out invitations for it and opening expressions of interest this week. So um, we're really excited by that, and I think we can do a really good job, and we want to represent the UK internationally. We think we do a really good job of it, and we've got some great players that want to go and play on that stage. So yeah.
Yeah, sounds amazing. I mean, obviously, it's going to be another great event. I can't wait personally, competing as well this year, hopefully. Uh, Ian, what are your plans?
My plans. I've teamed up
Yeah.
with John Butler. We'll see how far we can go. But yeah, back to you, Sam. I guess like you have experience both as a defender and blocking and as a blocker. How does that translate into your coaching philosophy? Like your playing style, obviously very dynamic, very offensive and aggressive. And then when you're coaching kind of like grassroots to the intermediate to the advanced slash elite, does that in a kind of like filter in, trickle through any of your playing style? Tell us a bit more about kind of your coaching.
Yeah, I think so. What translates from my playing style? I think I like my players to find their own best them. I think so. For me, the best me varies on the day. Sometimes you've seen me and I'll be really fiery. Sometimes I'm really kind of just focused on zero celebration, just getting on with it. Really depends on me on the day. But I think a lot of what I'm speaking to my junior internationals now is about how do we find the best you, and how can we get the best you on the court for as long as possible. So, like, thinking about how can they manage themselves mentally so that when it gets to 14 all in the third set, they're making really good decisions as often as possible. Um, so I think there's that, and I think in terms of like, I think that comes across into what I'm coaching technically as well. I think everyone has a slightly different way of doing things. Like George defends and hits a bit differently than I do, and that you do. And I think yeah, for me, I really try and think about my coaching as my job is to bring the best out of the people in front of me, and not for them to conform to how I do things. So I'm trying to, even at the grassroots level, it's all about we create really healthy, competitive game environments in our sessions, or like, I create that in my sessions that I run, where I think about the constraints that I put in. So today, for instance, I had training this morning. There were 3 of us, and we were just hitting. We're practicing defending hard balls and hitting hard balls. So we put like some cones down in the corner. Put like a 2x2 zone that you had to hit into, and it was just then one person setting in between. And I love that sort of training because it's competitive, it's fun. You have to make game-like decisions. Like, what do you do if you don't get a great set? Your setter is working hard, practicing a load of transition setting in a game-like environment. So that's my coaching style. I try and do a lot of game-ish based stuff, but with really thought through constraints. And then I try and foster that like cooperative competition between the athletes that I'm coaching. So like really trying to work in training. Can we make a competitive environment where they have to make decisions that replicate what they have to do in the game? Because I think more so than indoor, beach volleyball is really a mental game a lot of the time. And that means that because there's such an emphasis on being strong mentally and tactically in the game, we need to put that emphasis in our training design as well. So yeah, so like when I'm off the net, where do I hit? What do I do when I'm 14-13 down? Like what's my serve that I go to and what's our defense plan? Like all of these things that you have to think about that indoors we don't think about because we just go through our motions and we just try and you serve as hard as you can and basically then try and block it really. But there's a lot more to think about on the beach, and I think because it's that much more individual and you have to be really, we've got to create training design that makes these like bulletproof athletes that can go and do all those things on their own in game, and that's pretty tough. That's something that not many sports have to do. So yeah, that's what excites me as a coach, is like trying to work out how to do that in training.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with as well, is that decision making. Thanks, Sam. It's been absolutely wonderful to have you on this podcast, especially for our first episode. Any words of wisdom you'd like to leave with our viewers before you go?
I think the thing that I would say to a lot of people out there is don't be afraid, just get out and compete. So, like still for happening for me is like whenever you go up a level, you're going to lose a few times. And I can remember when I first turned up to my first bodyboarding the beach tour. It was me and a guy called Jack Constable. We were both under 6 foot. We had no idea what we were doing. We just got pulled in off the reserve list, and we were there for the junior tournament on the Sunday. And so we were bottom seeds, and we got played first game. We were like, oh, who are these guys? Phil Smith and Russell Watson. Don't sound that good. We walked onto court, and Phil, I don't know how tall Phil is, but he's over 2 meters by a distance. And Russell used to play internationally for New Zealand. Those guys, and I think it was Margate. It was like it was a cold day in Margate. They didn't take their tracksuits off, and their first hit, like I ran up to block, first hit that Phil did went about 4 meters straight over the top of me, and I was like, "This is awesome." And Jack and I just basically looked at each other and we were like, right, let's try and just get as many points as we can. We lost like 21-5, 21-6. And then, but then like 4 or 5 years later, I was playing games against Phil and really competing. And, that is the thing. It's like, in order to go to the next level, you've got to put yourself out there. And that's still happening for me at Futures level, we're getting more and more competitive every time I go. And same at Nevsa. There's some really good teams, but we're getting more and more competitive every time I go. You've just got to put yourself out there. So if that for you is a UKBT 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, give it a go. Like it's great fun. You get to go on a real journey with your partner, and you get to sort of have a crack at things. And it's just great fun. And like I love where it's taken me, volleyball. So it's really exciting. So yeah, go out there, get competing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Really nice having you, especially for our first episode. Thanks for agreeing to, chat to us about the sport that we all love.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks. It's been a pleasure. Anytime I can help, just where I am. So
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see you in
All right.
2 weeks.
See you later, folks.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, see you there. All right.
Bye.
See you, folks. Bye.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
Sam Dunbavin. Great guy. Like some really good words of wisdom. Like especially that last part there. Like I remember, I think I was saying this to a few guys I was coaching yesterday. Like you got to get out there and just get absolutely battered. Like I remember my first qualifier for the Weymouth 5-star. We got to the final, me and Stuart, and then we played against Sam and John, and it was a mental challenge for us because Sam had been our coach previously as well. So it was a real moment of like, right, we're gonna come and we're gonna get you. Obviously, they beat us. I can't remember the scoreline, but yeah, it was a crazy event. Like with the speakers, I think it was me and Stuart's first time really experiencing what it's like to be in a big crowd. And I remember we were like talking before each point and being like, right, if it's a good pass, we're gonna run an A1. If it's a bad pass, we just do a normal A. And like keep communicating before because genuinely couldn't hear anything. Um, but yeah, I think that's the same piece of advice I'd give to people. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not ready, get out there. Like, even when I'm coaching, it's like, yeah, we're going to give you the hardest shot to try and defend because realistically, in game, under pressure, your opponent's not going to be able to replicate that. So it will be like
Yeah.
1,000 times easier, like, than what you're doing currently.
Yeah, exactly. Very insightful advice from Sam. I think also as coaches, we always kind of get stuck into, not, I don't want to use the word force, but like teaching them what we know, right? But ultimately they're their own person, that your athletes are they're free thinkers. They have their own, history, they have their own stories, they have their own playing style. And what we're just trying to do is to extract that from them and bring out the best in them, like Sam said.
I
That
completely
leads us
agree.
into our that leads us into our next section, where we're going to take a look at the tournament draw. Um, I do this thing before tournaments where I try to map out my way to the finals. I think most of us are guilty for that. But they changed the seating last night, so that's ruined my big bracket. Maybe we do we do an NCAA March Madness style and see whose predictions are right. But anyway, there's some interesting entries here,
Hmm.
but that leads us to our next section.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean looking at this entry list, there are some familiar faces for a lot of it, but I think the team that I'm really interested to see play would be I think Rob Morgan and Tom Faulknerham. I've known Rob for years. I'm at uni with him now. I spoke to him yesterday about this because previously he's played with, Peter Stachevka, with I think Hayden Lawson a few years ago. Oh no, sorry, Rob was playing with Sam in there's the Bournemouth Open, a few other events.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm quite a young one. I don't know who Tom Faulknerham is, so that's gonna be, and they've come in straight as sixth seed as well. So that's gonna be a real fun one to watch.
yeah, 60 through the
What about
wild
you? Who
card.
your eyes on?
I think a really interesting team is Andy and David. They're a team from London. And I've got them first draw, I think, based off the current seeding. Andy's just so crafty. He's a little guy, but he gets up and on this Cardiff sand, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
man.
dangerous. He's got his shots that he can play on soft sand, but once he's jumping, I'm not gonna know what to do with him. And David, obviously, you know him from Richmond. He's been a keystone in their indoor team, and now I think he's playing more beach mostly. But he's got I used to give him the nickname the Terminator because
Yeah,
he has that massive knee brace on him.
the
So
brace. Yeah,
he's got a heavy arm swing,
yeah,
very stable in the pass. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play, but
yeah.
also not looking forward to playing them first thing 9 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, of course. No, that's gonna be a
Yeah.
tough one. Like Andy, I remember when we were out in Portugal. I think it was my first time really talking to him, and I was like, okay, this guy. And then I was like, wow, like he's fast, like
Yeah.
shots, he's
Yeah.
there. Like
Yeah.
no, I don't think many things were clean sand. It was a touch, scrappy.
Hmm.
Like that's gonna be a real fun team
Yeah.
to watch progress through this tournament.
Hmm.
I think, yeah. I mean, looking at there's a lot of youth teams in this draw as well.
Hmm.
Like a few ones I wouldn't expect, like Luca Robinson and Lewis Bunton. Lewis Bunton obviously being quite a significant player in the junior realm right now. Um, and also, making absolute scenes on the men's stage. I think he competed at CV under 18s last year and the year before that. Um, so yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. Same with Zach McGurr and Stuart Perry. Stuart being my former partner, and all these guys being my friends. I think that's going to be a new partnership that will definitely be fun to watch. Um, and then Sam Yang taking on Tomo Iwata
Hmm.
under his wing for this tournament. It's going to be, again, so many real fast players. Like, especially, I think that's such a struggle on days where you're not feeling the crunch. You might be coming a little too early on your approach. You might be taking the ball a bit behind. and you got to go do your shots, and that speedy defender is just there, and it's such a pain. So I think this is going to be a real scrappy tournament. If my predictions, I think this is not going to be a big slugfest, despite Cardiff Sand being real hard and springy. I would reckon this is going to be a real scrap fest of all these little teams
Yeah,
scrapping out. It's going to be an absolute dog fest.
lots, all the fests. Yeah, I've got my eye on a couple other teams as well that are interesting to see. So you got Ricky D'Souza, Brazilian Brazilian guy, super crafty, super shoddy, and he's
Mm,
teaming up with Phil, who's one of my teammates at Bologna. Who's, lefty, really stable, really
mm.
solid arm string, and I can't tell you how many times he's blocked me both on the beach and in training and indoor. So that'll be a strong pair. You've also got Ben McCarty, or
Mm,
as I call him, Bacardi. You got him teaming up with Ewan Fraser. Obviously, both Scottish,
mm.
have played for Scotland before. And Ewan's coming back from the indoor season. Just switching over
Yeah,
to opposite.
Essex Trebles.
So he's got his swing back in him, and it'll be interesting to see how that translates onto the beach. Max and Josh,
Mm.
two kids from Leeds as well, from playing for Leeds.
Yeah,
They're gonna be a strong
yeah, I
team
just
as
saw that as
well.
well.
hmm
Yeah,
But
100%. Like I know that they are training that every day. Like I again speaking to their dad, just knowing them as well. Like they put up a real good fight. Again, they won the under 16s or under 17s nationals last year, defeating Zach McGurr and Lewis Bunton in the final. When I was commentating that game, it was a phenomenal watch. Those guys were honestly some of these youth kids like they're going to be up there. They're going to be out there. I'm expecting a lot of upsets in this tournament. I mean,
yeah,
they're
for
training in
sure.
Bridlington with their father, Pete Bukowski. I think they'll be going for the junior Nevses as well. I know they've been training out in Alicante with a few Norwegian guys recently. So I think, yeah, transitioning off of their recent under 18 national win in indoor, I think it's going to be a real test for them.
Yeah. And then on the 8 and 9 seed, we've got Harry and Dave. Obviously they played in the London Open last year. And again, both just very scrappy
Mm.
players. I think Harry's probably going to do most of the blocking, but he's a he's a crab on the defensive side as well. He can get to some corners. And then number 9, we've got Pavel and
Yeah.
Conrad. I don't know much about them, but I do remember seeing them up in Edinburgh last year. And they I think they gave Iraj and Tom a fight. So like you said,
Yeah.
it's going to be a scrappy tournament, like lots of people defending, all these like scrappy balls that are just going to go over on one, over on two.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think I've met them yet. So that'll be fun. Obviously, my partner Tom has, so that'll be yeah. I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Sending out to tournaments playing people you don't know is always an interesting one, right? Like I kind of like it because at the same time I'm never like relaxed. Like oh yeah, I know who would do that cut shot. It was like okay, right. I need to be on it. I need to cues, see if the approach like you really lock in. I feel when you don't know who you're playing or when you haven't played someone in a long time,
Yeah.
which is kind of what this tournament lends itself to,
Mhm.
with it being the first Open of the year. Like Sam says, this is where we see who's been training in the winter.
Exactly. And tell us about your new partnership. You've teamed up with Tom this year. You've ditched Stewart, and like like myself, you've traded in for a blocker.
Yes, I mean, me and Tom have been at uni together for like the last, well, since the start of the term, or the year, sorry. I've known him for years. I think since I was in my first England juniors program. I think we were there together. Except he was setting back then, um, despite his fears of using his hands now. But yeah, no, we've been training out here in Nottingham. We've been, putting all the work in, like because we train like 5 times a week, 6 times a week, really making the conditions suit us, not trying to build too much. Like yesterday, it was quite windy, so we were like, right, we're going to play low, we're going to play fast, we're going to run around. Um, but yeah, no, we're really excited to get out there and really compete, especially after like the last 6 months of just being in the gym for 3, 4 times a week, really getting it up there. And we're really excited to come out and show people what we can do. With you, you've got Jonathan Butler now. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I learned a lot last year and the past 2 years with Derek. He's been an excellent mentor to me, teaching me like things about the game that I've never known. Because I've mostly kind of been self-taught, right? So having Derek kind of guide me through these tournaments, we always have a chat after we win or lose. We film all games, so that we always kind of go back and then break things down. That's a huge part of, my volleyball kind of style is that I do a lot of video, both like self-critique and also looking at how other people play. But yeah, fortunately for me, he's been selfless enough to kind of let me represent England, or try to at least. So that's why I've picked up John. We're gonna try get
Mm.
some points. We're gonna try get some results so that we can, have a bit more of a case when we apply for these international events. We haven't really trained together much, unfortunately, because he lives out west. He's still at uni in Bristol. I'm here in London. We did play a winter
Mm.
series, which was good because we had, a couple of games to find out how we like to play, find out how we like to set each other, discuss kind of like what we're trying to do as a team. And then just by chance, when we were coaching out in Portugal, we had one day of overlap, um, just luckily, and then we managed to play against this really crafty, scrappy French team from one of the French unis who came on tour, and we had some things to figure out, but yeah, we managed to pull through in the end against that French team, and hopefully before Cardiff, heading up a few days early so we can train a bit more and see how we like to play and get a couple extra touches before the tournament.
Mm. Yeah. And what else have you been doing preseason wise? Like, I mean, obviously you just come off of indoor, right? So
Yeah. So yeah, I've just been heading down to Crystal Palace for a couple of trainings. We've got Andre Castro, who is one of the libs at Nottingham last year, coaching.
yeah.
And it's been really good to, we're using a Mikasa, and training with that is just a different world than training with a Wilson. But I love the Wilson because I can put spin on that like crazy. Like it's so easy to just snap your wrist and see that thing spin. And playing with the
Yeah.
Mikasa kind of forces you to, kind of really snap that wrist because the Mikasa doesn't quite spin as well. But just working on my fundamentals, being stable and consistent on the pass and on the set. And then I'm hitting against a pretty high block, so getting those sand legs back, getting that jump form, and then that hard arm swing that ultimately I'm trying to develop and bring back into the beach game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to seeing all that out in Cardiff.
Yeah, with that hard sand as well, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, absolutely. When you dive though, like if I find myself chasing down, if I don't slide through the sand, it's like
Yeah.
that hurts like my chest.
Yeah,
Like
it
I'll wind
does.
myself mid rally. I'll be like,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
give the ball
public
back
service
or
announcement.
Tom kill it.
Yeah. Public service announcement to everyone who's coming to Cardiff. Do not wear anything white because that sand is not sand, it's mud. I think we should be able to upload before the tournament. So yeah, if anyone watching this, do not wear white to Cardiff.
Or
Okay.
something that you hold dear to your heart because it
Yeah.
probably will. Yeah, get stained.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've experienced some technical difficulties as expected on your first episode. So this is a little kind of second revisit to our second section. Um, George, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so I think one thing as well that we haven't mentioned yet is the women's draw for the Cardiff Open. Like I'm looking at a lot of these teams, and I kind of got to say I'm not that familiar with too many of them. Um, Although the second seed, Lorena and Gerda, are I've known them for a few years, and I love watching them play. Like the ferocity and the
Mhm.
intensity. Like that ball's not down till it's down, sort of
Yeah,
deal. Like they will
yeah.
hustle to the end of the earth.
Hmm.
And then we've got a few more junior teams as well. Molly Quinn, you're very young, great star, tall, good ball control.
Yeah, she did quite well
Um,
at club champs last year, didn't she?
yeah, she did. Who was she playing for?
Fireball
Fireball?
Devon, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm looking at some other names here. I'm not seeing Alice Jagielska, who I would have expected to be here, but
Oh yeah. They're busy out playing in a futures, right?
yeah, they
Allison
had the
Christie.
qualifier today. Yeah, they
Yeah.
won the first round but lost to
Hmm.
Italy in the second, sadly.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, they're
And
doing fantastic. I mean, she's off to Alice is off for a scholarship to America for beach
yeah,
next year. So that's, I mean,
yeah.
I'm hella jealous.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think yeah, so far
And
from what I can
then
see,
one more
few
that I've got my eye on is Maeve in Georgia. Maeve picking up one of the England setters. I saw them play today at Side Out, or you can play in Leighton. It was,
nice.
they could cause some problems. Again, very
Mm.
techy, like the men's draw. They'll be
Yeah,
double defending. It'll be fun to watch. Again, same as Gerda and Lorena. Like
yeah,
I feel like both sides, men and women's draws will be very scrappy, very techy. You got
yeah.
Beth and Lexi as well, both
Yeah,
defenders.
that's going to be a lethal
Um,
pairing. Same with
yeah,
Lucy and Anna here from which obviously we saw
yeah,
out in Portugal. I know Lucy's been grinding it big time in the winter training.
yeah. I feel like
Um,
Anna's probably more of a blocker there, but
yeah, yeah,
again,
100%.
um, again, both of them very able to, get to balls that aren't very easy to get to.
Yeah, and then who are our top seeds? Because obviously we've got the Irish guys on a men's
Yeah,
draw.
so the top seeds we have Vari and Lynn. I think they did quite well last year. Lynn obviously a Commonwealth Games player and maybe an Olympian as well, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll have to fact check that, but we can
Yeah.
yeah, I mean
Lynn played with Mel last year, who's the three seed. And Mel is playing with Taya
mm,
Keys. Um, Sorry, I do not know much about them, but it's good to see, old veteran pairs that are splitting up, taking on younger players who are, up and coming and
yeah.
transitioning from indoor to beach as Vari is. I think she was playing pro over in Europe, not sure where, maybe Luxembourg or something.
Oh wow.
But she was playing as a middle, and now she's coming back and playing a bit more beach.
Ah,
And again, Mel, the blocker of that old pairing, splitting up with Lynn and picking up another young player to, share some of her experience. So it'll be
yeah.
really interesting to see.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Again, with that Cardiff sound, it's all unpredictable. Like people will
Hmm.
be stat padding. It's going to be
Hmm.
a hell of a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Ian. We've got a Q&A now.
Yeah,
So
so we've got a bunch of questions that we sent out that we collected last week, as I'm sure a lot of you will know. We're gonna go through all of them, but if it's kind of a bigger topic, then we'll leave it as kind of a more bigger section that we'll talk about in depth in a future episode. But if it's just like a wham bam done, then we can go over that now. So I'll get us started. I'll go through my list and you can go through your list.
of course.
Um, the first one, it's not a big or a small one. I think it's a big one, but I think we can cover this quickly. Discuss revised FIVB setting rules. Will it be adopted on the UK Beach Tour too? I think everyone's freaking out for no reason. It's only being tested in Stade and Montreal Elite 16 and Brazil and Baden Challenge, I believe. And the
Yeah,
UK Beach Tour follows FIVB rules. So it's only being tested in those four events. Yes, they're big events. They're two Elite 16s and challenges, kind of the two top tier, highest level of volleyball that
mm,
you can have, right?
yeah,
And the UK Beach Tour, we do follow in the handbook. It says we follow the FIVB rules. So unless it's officially, chiseled into the rule book, I don't
yeah,
think we do call things pretty loose because we're trying to encourage hand setting and grow the game. But
yeah,
in terms of officially, it's not People are freaking out for no particular reason. It can from here on out, I think it can go either one way or the other. We start to let crap fly and everyone just starts doing indoor sets and you know, or
Yeah.
B, it gets stricter.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I would say is like, in terms of how I feel about it, I think, especially when the wind picks up,
Yeah.
I think that obviously we hold that ball quite a bit. And I don't think that setting indoory, I think that would make things even worse in terms of like ball control. Because obviously, I mean, we get to hold it for longer, right? We're always going to have more
Yeah.
control over that touch. We're not slinging it from 1 to 4. Like,
Yeah.
it's short. We play close, we play compact. I think it's more like I can see how it might help with defense a lot more, which might be why they're trying it. I feel like, but then again, how does that adapt to overhand defense? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Like, obviously, in Gstaad and all these other events that they're
hmm
implementing it, like they're going to be very high level. So maybe we'll see
On the
defenders
biggest
taking us.
stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the best teams, they know what they're doing. They're probably not going to get called for much as well, which is why I think it's interesting. But at the same time, I feel like if you then
hmm
gave like a futures, it might like quality would digress not even further. Like, there are like futures teams would probably still kick our
Yeah.
ass. Like the young Swedish pair, they've gone from playing a Elite 16 main draw to winning futures and
Yeah.
playing like even my partner Tom played against them in a Nevs at the start of the year. Like, the range is just insane.
hmm
So I
Yeah.
think we'll see how people take on those new rules.
Yeah. Ultimately, it takes out a skill, it's like it's a
Yeah, I agree.
skill. So it's like allowing tips, right? Then you get rid of the control that you have to have.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
anyway, I don't think it matters. People are freaking out for no reason. It's not going to happen unless it gets officially, rolled out from the
Yeah,
FIVB.
yeah.
Cool. Next one. We got people asking how they can get involved. Someone wants to be helping out with our social media. At the moment, I'm doing some of that. George is also has some creative input as well. But yeah, I think I'll get back to you. We'll see how this first episode turns out, and we'll see. Ask for some, reviews and some feedback from our audience, um, and then we'll see where to go from there. And if you want to get involved, we are inviting a bunch of guests. So yes, we've just had Sam Dunbavin. We're gonna bring on some of our other connections as well. George has connection with the Bellows. I've got some connections with Issa and Freddie. We have some international friends as well who know the game quite well. We can bring them in and ask them about, how beach volleyball is in their country. So, lots of opportunities. Just give us a message, either one of us. Okay, next one. What do you wear when it's freezing, George?
Underlayer. I like underlayers. I like dressing thin.
Underlayers.
I like keeping warm and insulated. Like, especially as it depends. Like, if it's in winter, yeah, I'll play underlayers. I'll keep warm. Maybe like thin overlayer. Like side out have some really nice ones. Slunks do
Mm,
some.
yeah.
Like you can get them in tournaments, but I'll personally go with my black side out one if it's too cold, and then
Mm,
as things start to get going, sometimes it's too loose. Because when you're like a cut shot and you cook the ball and it's like
yeah.
you don't get the friction. Yeah. I don't know.
Mm,
Mostly I'll go Under Armour, top and bottom. No gloves. I gotta keep my hands on the ball.
yep. Gotta get that
Same,
ball
same for
feel.
serving. Yeah. Wrap.
Yep.
And then no sand socks. Like I need my feet on the sand or I'm slipping, I'm falling.
Ever at all, or at
No.
least not
I
in
won't go
not in
near
the
them. Not
summer.
not
Yeah.
anymore, not anymore.
Only in
How about
the
you?
only in the winter. Yeah. Same. I feel like in the winter sometimes my feet get, sweaty in the sand socks anyway, so I'll have to take them off eventually. But I like a nice short sleeve compression, because like you said, if it's like something long sleeve, then I have it's there, but it doesn't feel like it's there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And sometimes I like wearing a hoodie because then at least you know it's there. But when it's a skin, it's like a little bit in no man's land that you can see it but you can't feel it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I like a nice little short sleeve compression to keep my body and my shoulder warm. Okay, here we go. This is a Portugal reference, but minor inconveniences on a tournament day. What's
Oh,
some pet peeves that you have, minor
oh.
inconveniences?
Or like, oh, I don't know. Again, like self-refereeing, of course, is it's always gonna happen. But I feel like
Mm,
if you jump like a 3 star, I feel like sometimes the calls can be a bit,
mm,
you know, some
yeah, a
questionable at
little bit
times.
iffy.
But like, that's gonna happen. I feel like I
Yeah.
get more annoyed if I turn up to a tournament and it's like, oh, when they have no medals, like,
Oh, no medals.
bro,
That's a terrible one. Yeah.
I'm like fat battling to like medal matches, and I'm like, oh yeah, so
No
you know,
prizes as well.
oh,
No
pri
prizes is huge
prizes make
letdown.
my day. But like,
Yeah.
honestly, like even prizes make everything so much better. Like, I think I played the Loxford London Series final for
Mm,
Fireball 2 years ago,
yeah.
and we won it, and it was like, like third set, 16-14. It was like first it was like, yeah, we won, but then it was like, hold on, I get prize money, I get a bottle,
Exactly.
it brings so much more than just,
Gives you
oh
something to
yeah,
live for.
exactly. Like something to fight for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And when they don't have enough balls at like a venue and you got to share
Mm,
one ball between two for like a warm up, it's
yeah.
like, how am I meant to, get the shoulder going? I
Mm.
don't, yeah, those are my pet peeves. What about you? What are your minor inconveniences?
I think it's probably gonna have to be like when your teammate gets you the wrong Tesco meal deal or something. Like you asked for a Lucozade, but they get you a chocolate milk, and you're just like, oh, I wanted some energy, but now I'm gonna, yeah, wrong Tesco meal deal for sure.
Especially if you're coming out of or going into like a big ass game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big game. You need to feel, energized, feel ready, feel prepared. And then, it's just a little bit of a letdown. But I'm sure my partner will never get me the wrong Tesco meal deal. I have faith in him.
Shout out, John.
Yeah, shout out to John. All right. Volleyball gossip. I guess we've just kind of covered that with our love at first set section,
Indeed,
who's
yeah.
been breaking up with who. Um, all right, these next few are kind of big topics. I'll just go over them quickly. What could be the next steps in setting up a youth system development in the UK? Um, we've
I think
just covered some
that's,
of that with Sam, right?
yeah,
We'll bring on some more coaches and some more people who are more involved with the grassroots level in the future as guests to talk about
yeah,
how we're, bringing up the level of our juniors here in the UK.
yeah.
We have maybe a spotlight on some top players, top cover a couple top ranking UK beach tour players. We've just had Sam, a really high ranking player himself.
Indeed.
Um, and like we've mentioned just now, we're gonna bring on some of our connections in the future as well. Last one from me. Why are we weak? Very vague, very abstract. Um, but again, I think that's well, George, you've got a lot of I think you have some more experience getting coached at a high level, and you've got some more experience coaching. Um, and I've got kind of my sports science and physio background. I'm sure we'll have a section or a little part one day where we dive into like some training tips. George can go into the coaching side, and I can go into the strength and conditioning side. Maybe
Mm.
we get someone who studies psychology and nutrition to bring on and talk about what to eat before a game day and how to get into the right mindset.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I mean, again, like you said, we've got so many
Mhm.
links. Like, honestly, you
Yeah,
guys watching, let us know.
yeah,
And we've got connections everywhere. Like, we will
yeah.
get people on to tailor, to what you guys want to
Hmm.
see.
Sky's the limit.
Facts.
Over to you. What kind of questions did you get?
I think the biggest, so I've got one here which says, biggest challenge you've overcome in balancing professional sport and lifestyle. Ooh,
I wouldn't call myself a professional, but I think I've had a lot of good coaches in the past, but getting into it, I was very much self-taught. Like on a Saturday morning at Loughborough, there are a couple guys, couple Polish guys, who train at the Loughborough courts, and we just go down and bang out some reps. Um, and I think for me, it was just finding the time, finding the mental energy.
mm,
Um, and the motivation, right? Like if at that point I sucked and it was just like how do I learn as much in as little time as I can, and balancing that between like, at Lupper we got close to no funding, and it's just trying to find the motivate, like, why am I doing this if there's, but ultimately you have to find it in yourself to, want to get better. I
Yeah.
always watch a lot of my own footage back, and just like if I'm sitting at home and I can't be on a court because no one wants to train with me, or I don't have the
Yeah.
court booking, then I'm gonna do as much as I can at home, watching myself back to learn as much as I can off the court.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think
Hmm.
for me, like at Nottingham, because we train like 4 or 5 times a week plus matches. Like I think the biggest challenge for me has been really balancing my time for my studies. Obviously,
Yeah,
watchers, you guys are going to be, different ages, different experiences.
yeah.
Um, but like balancing that personal, like me, I don't go out that much just because
Hmm.
I'm more of a fan of, being in the gym early, going to
Yeah,
training, resting and recovering properly. I also like personal commitments. I think also throughout like for the last like 6, 7 months, I've had to really balance longer like personal commitments to go see friends or people who, are important to me.
yeah.
Um, and it's now obviously with beach season. But yeah, I think time management has been my biggest thing to overcome and making sure I'm prioritizing the right thing at the right times. Like now with exams coming up, like
For sure.
I'm making, I'm only going to go to training if I get this done. Or maybe prioritizing certain trainings over others, make sure I'm getting enough rest. Um, yeah, time management. I think if I had to nail it down to one thing, that'd be for me.
Yeah.
I think next question I've got, why isn't England hosting a futures event? That's a sore one.
Mm,
I think a lot of us got our hopes up. So
yeah.
again, just to reiterate for people new to beach, in the international setup, a futures is the lowest tier of international tournaments. So we have the Olympics, FIVB World Champs, Elite 16, Challenger, then futures. And there were speculations and rumors of a futures being held in Bournemouth. And I think the junior national champs being shifted to Croyd also gave us a bit more hope. But I think ultimately it's come down to a lack of funding because I think it costs a surprising amount to run a futures.
Mm, yeah.
And yeah,
It
it
is, yeah,
sucks, but
hiring refs, getting like accommodation for the players,
yeah,
catering,
prize money.
all the stuff that we spoke with about Sam, about like all the things that go behind running a tournament. Ultimately, there's just not enough funding for us in this country.
Yeah, yeah. And like again, I know for a fact that Volleyball World have an interest in London and England and the market here. So I
Mm,
mean, we've got the senior Nevza this year, which builds off of the junior Nevza we had last year and have again this year. And I think you can see the stepping stones. We're
mhm.
at the bottom, but I think we are aiming for the top. I know Kirk Pittman's really pushing for that as well. Um, sort of just sort of looking ahead, the question we got earlier about the youth development, we've had significant impact on that the last few years as he's been the performance director. Um, Next year, I think maybe you never know. We'll get
Yeah.
more funding. We'll see. I think depending on how the senior Nevza goes this year, we could find ourselves in each year it becomes we have X plus one, and then that just keeps on growing. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Questions. I think the
Any
last
more
one.
for any
So.
more?
The rest of my questions are sort of bigger aspects or linked to things we
Hmm.
mentioned before. Um, we'll close in on pre-game, pre-tournament routine. What do you got in there?
Oh, I always have to take a dump, clear the system. I don't know if that's TMI, but makes you jump higher, makes you feel lighter, makes you feel fresh. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like to kind of stay off my phone as much as I can. Um, like screen time just makes me feel everything moves a bit slower and makes myself feel a bit more sluggish. So I think like morning of, after I've got my directions, to the beach, um, then I'm there. Also, I don't do music at venues like once I'm there. When I'm traveling,
Really?
definitely music. But when I'm there, there's speakers there. They're playing music at the venue. I don't like the double music, even though
Yeah.
like, you have noise cancellation, but like you can still hear it in the background. But I like to take in everything that's there. I like to be in the moment. So I guess it's not really a pregame routine, but it's like no music once I'm there, and as little phone as when I'm there as well.
Okay,
How about you?
interesting. I mean, I'm a little bit different. Like, again, I agree. I'll stay off my
Hmm.
phone as much as possible. Like, I get to the
Yeah.
venue, phone in my bag, I'm locked in. Um, but like, depending, because I respond quite a lot to music as a person as well
Mm.
as a player.
Yeah.
Um, I'll, if we go a big game, I'll slap some tunes on before to get me fired up. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I feel like being on my phone too much, A, distracts me, B, you never know what's going to come at you throughout the day. Like something
Yeah.
could throw me off my
Exactly.
game. All it takes is a text, or one Instagram, simple as that, right? Um, but yeah, no, I think that pretty much sums up everything we had for today.
Yeah. Right. I think that brings us about just about to the end of our first episode. Thanks to
Yes.
everyone who stayed and kind of watched the whole thing. But yeah, in the future, there's loads more fun things coming. We'll probably do an origin story where we talk about Portugal and bring some of the guys back on and talk about how it all started. Like I said earlier, George has that coaching background. I have that physio background. We'll do a training tips episode where we're talking about drills on the court and, what to do in the gym, pre-game, post-game. Merch, maybe? Question mark.
Reverse split
Merch.
looking question mark.
Reverse split blocking. Maybe a bit of a history lesson, going back to VEBT, taking a look at how things used to be versus how they are now. Gear
Mm,
and tech, comparing the old and the new balls,
mm,
comparing, what the best net system is if you
yeah.
live near a beach and you want to go play, we'll look at nets, we'll look at
How to play
ball
with the wind.
carts, backpacks, accessories,
Yeah.
sunglasses. I don't know. Tech review. We'll do a lot of England stuff,
Yeah.
and submit your video. I think that's going to be one of the fun ones.
Send in those low
Yeah.
lights. I want to laugh and I want to see your highlights as well. Unless you're
Yeah.
clipping me and I'm getting headshotted, I ain't picking that to show.
I saw so in Portugal we have this sky ball run across the net and catch it challenge, right? I saw in someone's story someone got clotheslined by the net. I'm sure that's
Oh,
not going to happen in a
oh
in a
no.
game, but if someone shanks the ball outside the antenna, I'd love to see someone, try chase for it and just get absolutely.
That's not
Um,
encouragement. That's not encouragement, please.
that's a fingers crossed. But yeah, submit your videos. Maybe we'll make that a weekly thing if we have the time.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, if you have other suggestions, things that you want to hear about, both of our DMs are open. If you have our numbers, just give us a text. We're always open to new ideas. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in to our first episode. We'll
We'll
see you on
see
the
you on
flip
the flip
side.
side.